Normally when I start a video review, I'll set the scene of what the vehicle is, what it means for the market, who it's aimed at, and whether it's going to be right for you or maybe not. But this time around, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to stop and just show you something, because you need to see it. Ready? Let's have a look. Just have a look at that. That is a Mega Tub. And that's exactly what LDV is calling its new dual cab variant. It's called the LDV T60 Mega Tub. And that's because it adds an extra 275 mils of length to the tray, which is huge, almost as much as you get in a space cab, but you don't have that compromise of not quite having a back part of your ute. You've got a proper dual cab body, just with a really long tub. Now, I'm going to tell you all about it in a sec, but if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, be nice in the comments section below, and also hit the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date with all our latest videos. Things are about to get a bit geeky because we're going deep on dimensions. Now, the numbers you're about to see are for the vehicle without this standard fit tub liner, and I have to say that this tub liner is one of the worst attributes of the LDV T60 that we're testing, because it's just really badly fitted and quite poorly made by the feel of things. But that's what you need to know. The numbers you're seeing don't reflect the tub with the liner. LDV doesn't supply measurements with the tub liner included, maybe because each one fits a bit differently, but I guess it'll protect the metal. Anyway, it does offer class-leading space for this size of dual cab ute in terms of length across the bottom of the tray and length at the top of the tray. Now, you might be curious about how the payload is affected, and apparently it's identical to the regular dual cab models, the ones without the Mega Tub. So the manual is 875 kilos and the auto is 815 kilos. Those aren't huge numbers. But unlike some other cheap ute competitors, there's a good rear step to get in and out of the tray. Now, obviously that extra space can't come from nowhere, and the wheelbase of the LDV T60 Mega Tub has been stretched by 310 millimeters. That's quite a bit, and it means that the space between the front and rear wheels is nearly 3.5 meters, and that's a lot. Now, that means that the LDV T60 Mega Tub is quite long. In fact, it's longer than a Ford Ranger, but not quite as lengthy as a Ram 1500. And what does all that mean when it comes to interior and cabin space? Nothing. Let me show you. The extra wheelbase length is all rear of the cab, so there's still good legroom, headroom, and space across the back row. You get nice bits like a pair of cup holders in a flip-down armrest, and there are rear air vents. A lot of other utes in this segment don't have that. All LDV dual cab models come with a benchmark media screen in the ute segment. It's a 10-inch unit, which is the biggest yet in a ute in Australia. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the screen, well, it's a bit finicky. Because this model is based on the high-grade T60 Luxe, you still get leather-ish seat trim with front seat electric adjustment for both seats, and there's heating for both seats at the front as well. There's also a leather steering wheel, climate control air conditioning, and keyless entry with push-button start. And there's a digital speedo, which is helpful if you're watching your points on your license. Now let's talk pricing. It's important for challenger brands like LDV to be competitive, and the T60 Mega Tub certainly is. For ABN holders, the manual price is 35 grand drive away or thereabouts, and 2 grand more if you want the auto like we've got. That's pretty affordable. It's not quite as affordable as the SsangYong Musso XLV, which is this car's most direct competitor. But we'll see what it's like to drive, and that might make up for it. We're going to put a load in the back, but first, we're going to drive it without anything in the back, because that's what a lot of people do. You might get a bigger ute, but you don't get a bigger engine. It's still the same 2.8 litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel with very low outputs for this class of ute. It's pretty much the lowest you can get, in fact. And it doesn't really feel very powerful or very torquey. It does have a 6-speed automatic, which works pretty well and makes good use of the lack of torque of the engine. And that's probably one of the redeeming factors when it comes to the drive experience. That's not to say that the engine's a dud, it's just noisy and just not very enjoyable. Not nearly as enjoyable as some of the other utes in this segment, even the cheaper ones. There are some other factors that are pretty good though. The ride comfort is mostly okay. It's obviously, with a long wheelbase, it does settle things down a little bit, and the LDV range has been updated with a new Australian tune done by Walkinshaw. It was the tune that they did for the Trail Rider model, which was a limited edition top spec, and it's now been rolled out across the range. And it does drive pretty well for Aussie conditions, although over bumpy sections of road it can be quite jittery, especially at the back. But that's not unusual for a dual cab ute with nothing in the tray. Plenty of them out there can be fierce when it comes to bumpy sections of road and nothing in the tray. That's what they're designed for. They're designed to have weight in the back, and that's why they are firm at the back when there's nothing there. When it comes to towing capacity, every model in the T60 range, including the Mega Tub, has a 750 kilo unbraked towing capacity or 3-ton braked, which isn't as good as some of the other big name utes out there which have 3.5-ton towing. That might factor into your decision. The steering in the T60 is actually pretty good too. It's not as cumbersome or as heavy as some of the other utes out there, and it feels pretty natural when you're applying a bit of lock between corners. It's not too bad. Negotiating roundabouts and tighter streets, you do have to be aware that it is a bit longer than the average ute, and especially when you're pulling into a parking space, you might find that your nose is either a little bit too far out or not far enough out because it's a big vehicle. Brake performance is okay as well, and on the whole, I'm actually finding it mostly pretty agreeable. Now, we may as well chuck a load in the back because that's what it's made for. Let's go do it. Our mates at Crown Lift Trucks in Sydney once again helped us out with a big old load in the back, 750 kilograms. Given the 815 kilo payload for the auto version of this model, we need to keep in mind just how close we're getting to the gross vehicle mass limit for this vehicle. We strapped the load in, there are 4 well-placed tie-down hooks in the tub, and decided to hit the road once more. Over speed humps, the suspension did a commendable job, and in general the tune for the ride control and composure was very good with the weight on board. What was a little less impressive was the transmission shudder in first and second gears, with the vibration through the cabin noticeable under load. But while it was a little cumbersome at lower pace, the engine handled the heft at higher speed. It won't break any speed records, but you'll be able to overtake without much fuss, and the transmission, again, shuffles as it should, and it does a better job at higher pace. You might be wondering about ownership prospects for the LDV ute, and rightly so, but it has a 5-year warranty, although there is no capped price servicing. I've been pretty impressed with the LDV T60 Mega Tub. It's a novel approach from the brand, offering extra practicality but not at a huge price. I think it's pretty impressive in that regard. Tell us what you think in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget, hit subscribe, hit like, share it with your friends, and also hit the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date with our latest content. Oh, and I guess you might be wondering what the score is. Well, here it is.